My name is Stephen. I'm an Andiamo floorboard specialist. Andiamo floorboards are imported from one of the largest manufacturers in the world. A wood floor is a product made to last for many years, but this involves it being properly installed and appropriately cared for. Andiamo flooring can be fitted in two ways, floating or glued. I will show you the proper way to install a layered floor using the latter method. You lay the floor by gluing to the subfloor. Use Andiamo adhesive and Andiamo primer. The Andiamo floorboard is a natural product made from 100% wood. The structure of the floorboard is resistant to change in air temperature and humidity. Not one, but 3 layers of wood are arranged in a modern cross formation. Every Andiamo floorboard is a ready-to-use product, finished with either lacquer or oil, which can be used as soon as it is fitted. Anyone who is even remotely keen on DIY can lay an Andiamo floor without help. However, if you would prefer, you can use the services of an Andiamo floorboard fitter. Before wood floors are laid, all wet work on walls and ceiling should be finished, including priming, stopping, painting and decorative plaster. The concrete subfloor should be cleaned, vacuumed and without cracks. The room and subfloor which the floor is to be laid on must meet the following conditions. The moisture content of a cement-based subfloor should not exceed 2%, or 0.5% where there are plasterboard pads. The temperature should be between 18 degrees Celsius and 24 degrees Celsius when installing the floor, and the relative humidity should be maintained at a level between 45 and 60%. The quality of the concrete subflooring that you are laying the boards on is also important. Place a 2-meter transversing rule on the subfloor. The level can't deviate by more than 3 mm from the horizontal along the entire length of the rule. The concrete should be compact with no cracks or holes. It should also meet the relevant strength criteria, compression strength of 25 megapascals and peel strength of 1 megapascal. Remember to acclimatise the Andiamo boards in the factory packaging in the place where they are to be fitted for at least 40 hours before laying them. During this time, the wood floors adapt to the conditions in which they will be fitted and used. To assemble your floor, you will need a 1000-gram hammer, professional tapper, mounting lug, spacing wedges, a key for the 5Gs lock, square, electric or handsaw, a tooth trowel for spreading glue, a roller for laying the primer, a knife for cutting, a tape measure, and pencil. The direction the floor is laid depends on the dimensions of the room and the direction the sunlight comes in. If none of the room walls exceed 8 meters, the flooring should run lengthwise towards the sunlight that is perpendicular to the most sunlit window of the room. Any room side is longer than 8 meters, or the floor is installed in a long and narrow room such as a corridor, the floorboard should be fitted down the length of the room. After establishing the direction for laying the floor, measure the width of the room. Take the width of the expansion gaps, 2 times 15 mm, away from the result and divide it by the width of the floorboard. In this way, you can calculate how many rows of floorboards you will have to lay and where to cut off the last row of floorboards. If the last row is less than 70 mm wide, you should also trim the first row laid. Before gluing down the floorboards, you must prime the subfloor. Apply the primer evenly over the surface with a roller. Consumption of the primer is approximately 100 to 200 milliliters per square meter depending on the surface absorptivity. Wait 2 hours for the primer to dry before gluing the floor.
Po zagruntowaniu czekamy około 2 godziny. Następnie będziemy mogli przystąpić do klejenia podłogi.
Cut open the packs of floorboards with a knife from the bottom up so as not to damage the surface of the floorboard. Remember, Andiamo floorboards are 100% wood and each have a unique appearance. Before laying the floor, you should lay out the floorboards and plan the pattern. After this, you can get started on the installation.
W pierwszym pasie podłogi obcinamy wystające pióro.
Use the electric or hand saw to cut off the tongue sticking out of the first row of the floorboards. This allows the expansion gap to be made properly along the wall.
Klej rozprowadzamy za pomocą pacy.
Use the tooth trowel to spread the glue over the width of the 2 rows of flooring. Rub the glue into the subfloor so that it covers the concrete. When using this method, it is important not to apply glue to the surface layer of the floorboard. If this happens, you should clean it off with the Andiamo intensive glue remover.
Kładziemy pierwszą deskę.
Lay the first floorboard, then use the spacing wedges to leave a 15mm gap by each wall.
15 mm. Przed położeniem kolejnej
Before laying the floorboard, check that the tab is correctly positioned in the lock. The end of the tab should be in line with the surface layer of the floorboard. This is important because otherwise you cannot connect the floorboards.
nasza podłoga nie połączy się. Kolejną deskę dokładamy do krótkiej krawędzi i opuszczamy.
Add the next floorboard to the short edge, then let go. Remember the floorboard connections in neighbouring rows must be staggered by a minimum of 50 centimeters. Add another floorboard and let it drop. Use the tapper and hammer to knock the floorboard home on the lateral edge. Do the same with the subsequent rows of floorboards. When tapping in the floorboards, be careful not to get glue on the tapper.
Uważajmy, by w trakcie dobijania desek nie pobrudzić dobijaka klejem.
Zamknięcie zamków 5GS nastąpi poprzez przesunięcie się języków zamka, które będą przesuwane przez pióro dokładanej deski.
Montaż ostatniego pasa podłogi wykonujemy, odmierzając szerokość deski.
Fit the last row of floorboards by measuring the width of the floorboard and take into account the 15mm expansion gap from the wall. Tap the floorboard in using the mounting lug. Connect the floorboards at the front edge with the aid of the key to the 5G's lock. Set the key so that the closed lock is visible on it. After the key is properly positioned, pull it towards you, closing the lock and joining the floorboards. Do the same with the rest of the floorboards. When installing the floor in the door frame, you must leave expansion gap 25mm wide. Cover the gap with the expansion slat.
Nasza podłoga jest gotowa do użytkowania.
Now you can watch our videos about fitting and caring for Andiamo wood floors.